But I also don't want to stay inside of my house for.
Yeah, I can't do that anymore. Because look, I don't want to say what happened, but it got weird in here.
What happened?
Right here, it got weird. I'm not gonna say what happened. I want to have a future. What? And nothing happened. I'm fine. Okay, guys. Today we have a special guest, and there's no special guest, but it's just me, and I'm gonna be talking today, and we're gonna be talking today. I don't know why I said me. We're gonna be talking today about the one, the only Ho Chi Minh, guys. Ho Chi Minh,
guy,
give it up for him.
man.
Clap it up for Ho Chi Minh. Here's the thing. If you're I don't know, how old are them niggas now? 70, 80 years old, and you fought in Vietnam, this episode is gonna give you flashbacks. So don't watch.
Hold up. If you're 70 to 80 years old and listening to a podcast, I applaud you for getting with the times.
Yo, my man,
I'm impressed.
He got that. She got that Mac, and she was just on it. And she figured it out.
Yep. Way to go. Welcome.
Okay, but no, seriously, there's gonna be a lot of names and a lot of things that are gonna be a lot for somebody who might have fought in Vietnam.
Fought in Vietnam. Yep, it was an awful time for everybody.
It was an awful time. Yeah, it was an awful time. Look,
and away we go.
Okay, I don't want to start it like that. I'm not trying to start it like that. You got it. Okay. I think all right, we're going to start like this. Do you know what the word Vietnam means, Henry?
I don't.
Vietnam. I told you earlier, so you should know.
I drink.
You forgot already?
I remember? Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Vietnam actually is two words. I think it comes from the Chinese language. Is Viet is the people to the south, or the people to the south of Yunnan province, or foreigners who live in Yunnan province, which is one of the most southern Chinese provinces.
Yeah.
And Annam means it's like the Chinese for like the pacified South. So Vietnam is the foreigners to the south of foreigners, or the people
to the south who are pacified.
Yeah, who are pacified, we have taken over.
The subjugated people, the people to the south who ain't shit.
Yeah,
right?
the people we have taken over to the south. Their name has a legacy and a built-in history of rebellion and struggle.
Yeah. Yep.
Why would we invade that country? Why don't we just invade Scotland?
Because everyone else did it, man. I don't know.
Here's the thing. So you understand Vietnam is the country of Southeast Asia, part of Indochina, as the French would call it, later call it. It suffered a long history of colonialism, of being taken over by outsiders. In the 3rd century BC, the Chinese came, and then they fought the Chinese until 1428 AD.
Jesus. That is commitment.
And you think you're gonna come here in 10 years
and overthrow this entire system? No, man.
No, man. So that's
this stretches back millennia. Yeah, right. Millennia of resistance.
1,700 years. Yeah,
it's in their blood. Is fighting off a foreign aggressor.
You know what I mean? So and the Chinese occupation brought it molded a lot of the things that you see in Vietnam, and particularly it brought the Confucius learning template and kind of the Confucius organization and the way that they lived, and then the French came, and the French showed up. I think it was 1858. They showed up in the 1850s, and then through the Sino-French War of 1884 to 1885, they took over Vietnam, and then they fought the Siamese, and then they got Cambodia and Laos.
Killed all of them, right? Killed all the Siamese.
You talking about the twins? You talking about the?
I don't know what I'm talking about. I just think they killed all of them.
No, the Siamese are the Thai.
Oh.
Siam is Bangkok.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure about that.
I was thinking they had to rebrand as Thai.
No,
or what?
I think something happened where they had to reboot. They were Siam,
Yeah, that sounds
recent, like
familiar.
in the
Yeah.
20s. Like,
Yeah, like Thai is an imposition, a foreign
yeah.
imposition. We're seeing. Okay, that makes sense.
So Vietnam is made up of three parts. There's going to be Cochin, China, which is the south. That's like Saigon, Mekong Delta. Where your granddad won't stop telling you about using that water boat, that Navy boat, fucking in the Mekong Delta.
Dropping LSD that he
dropping
shouldn't have had,
LSD,
and just like
strapped up, ready to go.
Yep.
Then there's Tonkin, which is like northern Vietnam, the part that's the closest to China, and then in the middle of that whole stretch is Annam. And so, and our hero today, Ho Chi Minh, hero. Some people, I got the lowdown from like a Vietnamese person from Sun Tran. I just say Sun Tran.
Okay, cool, right on.
And he was like, literally, he was like, this is how Vietnamese people feel about Ho Chi Minh. He was like, some people think he's a patriot, like a hero. Some people think he's a villain. You have people who will like never forget on both sides. But the vast majority of Vietnamese people want to just make money and don't care about this shit anymore.
Okay, fair enough, man. Fair enough.
You know what I mean? So,
they're more like us than we know.
Yeah, no, yeah. He's like his parents fled Vietnam after the war and like moved to Canada, which is wild. Moved to like Calgary, I'm pretty sure, which is a wild place. Which is a wild place for Vietnamese people to be because it's very cold. But they like go back like 6 months out of the year. Like now
to Vietnam, just to hang out,
chill. Yeah, like it's home. Like it's,
man.
People have gotten over the things that were about to. Not some of them. Some of them have. Some of them haven't.
Some people are still very upset about all these things. Yeah.
So, Ho Chi Minh was born as Nguyen Sinh Kung, and on May 19th of 1890, and this is going to be a point of contention. Some people say 1890. He said 1891 sometimes. He said 1892 sometimes. He said 1893. He said 1894 and 1895. We don't really know when he was born. A lot of people accept 1890. I
5 years.
Yeah, 5 years.
All right, and fellas.
I think it plays an important difference a little bit later just because it makes him seem like a little bit more of a fucking revolutionary. You know what I mean?
A little older, a little wiser,
a
little
younger, a little wiser, a little always about this shit.
Okay,
so,
all right.
He's from Ji An province, the village of Kim Lien, in Annam, in the Annam portion.
That's the middle part of modern Vietnam. Okay.
Yeah, it's the middle part of modern Vietnam. Here's the thing: I'm not going to pronounce these words right. I'm going to try.
Hey man, we know we've established a precedent.
Yeah,
with this whole season. I'm just like, we're doing our best.
So, Jian, that the province that he's born in, is like known as like this is like the middle of French resistance. Like this is the heartland of French
born
resistance.
In it, the epicenter.
Born into it. You know what I mean? So, and like the hill that overlooked like the village of Kim Lien is like there's like a temple at the top to like generals who two generals who had fought like the French. I think fought the French early on, and that's where the rebels would they would organize up there. So it's just it's a whole vibe. It's a beautiful village, but fucking they're with the shits. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he was born to his father. So when his father Winston Sack is like a Confucian scholar, and teacher. And he would later become like a magistrate and a governor. He was like known for like being kind to the poor. Like he even like one time.
Okay, but who's saying that though?
Him. The people in the village. They tried to give him a banquet one time for like he basically passed his masters. And they was like, yo, we're gonna give you a banquet because we get to like put up a sign that says, yo, you're from here, Winston Sack, It's dope, it's real cool. And he was like, no, give the money to the poor.
We're not about that's pretty bitching. Good guy, all around good guy.
You know what I mean? But when he passed his next test, they just threw it anyway. They were like, "Fuck that."
We need something to celebrate because our lives are shit. So we're gonna celebrate vicariously through you, right?
I've been shit on by water buffalo for the past month. Every day, it's water shitting.
Came home.
Water buffalo's water shit.
Goddamn water buffalo came through and just wiped out all my rice patties.
You know what I mean?
Now I've got nothing to eat. You know,
when you're thinking if you don't if you don't
I
know what
have to
Vietnam,
grift.
if you don't know what Vietnam looks like, if you're not an
That
American,
might
first of
sound
all,
insensitive.
no,
If
but it's
what
just
I just
rice
said
paddies.
about the
It's
water buffalo,
rice
but
paddies.
really
It's
though,
hills and crags. It's a lot.
yep,
It's a lot. It's very beautiful. Very beautiful.
they're very innovative too with
Very,
how they like irrigate from like
yeah.
step to step and everything. It's cool.
So Winston Sack kind of keeps upping. He keeps upping himself, keeps passing tests, and then he gets moved to Wei. And he takes his sons with him. Some sons stay in the Kim Lin, some come with him. And like he got a job like in the Imperial City, and that's where Winston Kung, and these names are gonna this is gonna be a lot. That's when Winston Kung, he goes to like a private school. I think it's called the Wei School, and he's learning. Gets to learn French. He's learning about like all these different like all the different like kind of French virtues. Was it egalite, liberté, egalite, fraternité? Right? That's the French. The fucking. Are you not
I don't
familiar
know,
with your
man.
French?
I was just thinking about cheese.
What?
I was just thinking about like knowing the different types of cheeses and like wine tastings out in the countryside and owning a vineyards and knowing what cheeses pair well with the wines.
That's funny.
I was thinking those were French.
No, that's
virtues.
funny. Let me tell you a little bit what French rule was like. If you like, if niggas don't understand this, the French like are just hoes. They're just bitch ass niggas. No, because this is what they did. They just like would do petty shit. Like first, there's brutal places. You got to work in coal mines, rubber plantation. This is rubber plantation era. The French made it illegal. Like the native rice wine illegal.
You can't outlaw alcohol.
And they didn't outlaw it. You just had to buy.
Oh, you had to buy their bullshit.
Yeah.
Because the people, the vineyard owners are struggling, right? Yeah. And so they need a market to dump all of this wine off of. And we've got this market that we can force to buy our shit. Yeah. So let's do that. Let's
do that. Let's not
overthink it. All right.
So, all right. When Winston Sack, Ho Chi Minh's father, gives him a new name at the age of 10. He becomes Win Tat Than, which is Win the Accomplished. Now,
all right,
his name is gonna
at age 10.
His name is gonna keep changing. This is one thing about fucking Ho Chi Minh. Yeah, man, he's done nothing. He's done nothing, but you
might have learned to ride a bike. I don't know. I didn't learn how to ride a bike till I was 11. So I mean, if that was his standard, then
you got to keep upping, man. You got to keep upping. You got to keep. It's called
be better.
Positive motivation. That's why we're here, because we didn't get this. We didn't get that.
Not at all.
Not at all. So in 1908, while he's in school, he like gets caught up in this protest of like peasants who are like angry at like the kind of, I think it was the kind of the French authority in Wei, and there's like a regular protest. Then it turns a little bit violent, and he's translating because he speaks a little French for these peasants, and he gets caught up in that. And then some people I think the French authorities shoot people. It ends up being this whole thing, and he gets kicked out of school for that. That's the kind of official like party line. That's
gotta be rough.
Yeah, that he got kicked out for that. And that's what forced him to that moment that we talk about where it's like, oh, now you're forced into this life. So
yeah. Okay.
It could,
all right.
Some people don't believe that.
Yeah.
Some people say it was that his father, Winston Sack, was way more into it, was a little bit more into it, and they kind of forced him out of that life, and he got kicked out of school because of his father being into it.
His father being into like revolutionary activity?
Into revolutionary activity, anti-French activity. Because his father was kind of in the circle of like all like the little like the nationalists. Yeah, I like the story of him being 13 years old.
So you mean to tell me that the French were prejudicial?
Yeah, the French are assholes. No, the French
are not
fun people.
You mean to tell me that the French had biases?
Yeah, the French are bad people sometimes. Sometimes they're good people.
It's when not all about cheese just eating cheese and dominating foreign markets with our wines. I was going to say shitty wines, but I can't say that they are shitty wines. They're actually Probably very good wines.
They're very good ones. I don't think you.
I can't talk shit. I can't knock them there. You know.
So let's go with the kicked out of school, fucking on the run, wanted by authorities because he was participating in this fucking.
As a teenager, he's
okay. He's 13 if you go with 1895.
All right.
So that's, maybe you do 13 because he's about the fucking revolution.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
He's in it.
Or he's 18.
Which is a lot less cool. That's less cool.
You know what I mean? It's a lot less cool. So
yeah.
let's go. 13 years old, gets kicked out of fucking school.
And just learned how to ride a bike,
Just learned how to ride a bike. He fucking gets kicked out of school and he flees. And his father gets, basically because of his revolution activity, gets kind of like, they can't prove that he was in the revolution or like into it, so they send him to like a far-flung kind of like province where he becomes like, he's kind of like the county judge, and then fucking he gets thrown out of that job because he issued canings to a fucking like rich person, and the rich person complained because he's with the poor. He kind of, some of the Confucius teachings are like that. This kind of the guy that.
So canings are okay for poor people, but you can't cane the rich. And basically, it was like one rich guy who complained.
Yeah,
because he was being treated equally.
Yeah, try to send a rich person, like a rich son, to jail. I bet you won't win your next judge election. I bet that won't happen.
Yeah, I bet that. Yeah, we're gonna pull that rug right out from underneath you, man. You're done.
In the guy also died when he got
during the caning. Okay, all right, never mind. I just thought it was some bullshit.
No, I mean, look, sometimes
we've gone from caning to murder, and I'm like,
no, I mean, look. Sometimes people can't take the canings, and that's also, canings sound a lot more brutal than whippings. Canings sound like a
it's hard.
Ho Chi Minh, fucking all right. Well, Winston Sack, Ho Chi Minh's father, gets he starts getting into drinking. It's a whole thing.
It happens.
Ho Chi Minh at this time,
when you got all that dope French wine to drink on, you got to do something.
Man, that's Ho Chi Minh Win Tat Than at this time is
Win 13, the accomplished.
Yeah, Win the accomplished. Kind of goes to another school for a little bit, and then he kind of fucking gets on a boat. He just goes to Saigon, and then he fucking gets on a boat and fucking and becomes a fucking, and just starts traveling the world. That's it. He just says he just gets on a boat. Like and the thing he wants to do is he wants to go to France in particularly because he wants to know the secret to like France. He wants to understand why they're ruling us.
Know your enemy.
Yeah, and he wants to know what's going, so he can now have like they can create revolution, and he can understand how to do it. That's his party line on what he's trying to do.
Yeah,
and it makes sense because he's from that Jian village, from Kim Lian village in Jian, and he's always been about revolution. It's just in his blood at this point.
Okay, yeah.
So he goes to France. He like on the way, like the boat stops and like it stops in like all these different places. He's seeing the world. He's also seeing how colonialism is affecting everybody. Brown, black. That's about it.
Damn, nobody of color is doing well. Like.
Yeah, no, he's just going around and seeing that, and he's starting to understand like, oh, okay, this is interesting. Then he gets to Marseille, which is the first port he docks in France, and he's like, and then he sees like, oh no, it's not all the French are bad. There's some good French and there's some bad French, and he's starting to analyze. It's like, wait, hold up, there's good French and there's bad French, and so this becomes this period of his life where he's just going around, kind of shooting the shit, going everywhere, all over Africa, all over Asia. He goes to fucking South America. He's in Rio. He's in fucking Buenos Aires. This is where he comes to.
All right, Ho Chi Minh at Carnival.
Yeah,
Ho Chi Minh at Carnival. Was he there?
Everywhere. No, he probably for sure. I don't doubt
participated in the parades, like you know. I don't know how to dance. I wasn't gonna try to dance.
And neither does he, dude. Neither does he.
Just hanging out though, Got the fancy little drink. I think out of a coconut. Sure. I don't know.
For sure. This is where you're gonna see him go to New York and Boston. He lives in the States for a little bit. I think that's in 1912 and 1913. He goes to New York, and he goes to meetings of like the Universal Negro Improvement Association in African Communities League, which is like the organization started by Marcus Garvey. So he's like listening to
Okay.
Marcus Garvey speeches
So
about.
he must have spoke some English, or at least been
No,
able to
he's
understand some of it
but
because
he's
of his
learning it
French
all of it.
background. Okay, all right.
He's learning it like when he just starts picking up languages.
That's pretty bitchy. Yeah, that's cool.
We're gonna get to a later part where like he just is speaking English, and people like there's a whole thing later about how good his English is. So he worked in the Omni Parker House Hotel between 1912 and 1913 in Boston, which is the same hotel that Malcolm X worked at in the 40s.
Okay.
So little weird connections.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's like, I just think it's funny that he was at like listening to Marcus Garvey speak, like who's like the super kind of pro-black kind of I would say black separatist a little bit if I'm remembering more like what Marcus Garvey talked about a lot.
Okay.
But like it's just interesting that he was there and like and he's like running around New York with like Chinese Americans and like Asian Americans, and he's like understanding. He also at that time he thinks that like America is pretty good the way it treats Chinese people or Asian people. I think he said like there were a lot of people who were Chinese. That's why I keep referencing that. Or I'm racist. Either one.
Okay.
Like,
it happens.
You know what I mean? So he does that. Then he goes to the UK, goes to London for a little bit, lives in North London. He's just traveling, man. Just kind of hopping liners, getting some work.
Mm-hmm.
And fucking going to London, and he works at the baker and pastry chef under August Escoffier at the Carlton Hotel in Haymarket, Westminster. Now, there's not any evidence to support that, but he fucking said he did. It's like a whole thing. And that could also be him like upping his communist bona fides. But I don't really understand how you're doing that.
Wait, there was a communist pastry chef?
I don't know. That's just a French, like a highly
Escoffier?
known French pastry chef.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think he's just
that'd be a pretty cool recruitment mechanism, you know?
I think he's just saying he was fucking everywhere. Like that's all
right.
He's just saying I'm fucking everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes to France either sometime right as the war, maybe 1917, but the first evidence of him being there is like 1919.
Okay.
And he ends up in France, ends up in particularly in Paris, and he joins a group called the Group A des Patriots Annamites, the group of Vietnamese patriots, which includes people like Phan Chu Trinh, Phan Vong Trinh, and Nguyen the Truan, and Nguyen An Ninh. And the group was petitioning for like civil rights of Vietnamese people in French Indochina to the Western powers at like the Versailles peace talks. They did that, but they were like ignored. It's also at this time we have to talk about like what France looks like at this time. Why there are a bunch of Vietnamese people in France is not only because they're a colony, but France was recruiting people to come to France to work in their factories because they're so short-manned, because of the fucking World War I.
In the wake of World War I?
This is the very end of World War I, and it kind of like gleams over. Then they're just there. You know what I mean? So and France.
Listen, everybody. France understands that you're tired of working on a rubber plantation, right? Yeah. How would you like to work at a steel factory?
There we go.
You know what I mean?
What do you know about Lyon?
We need hands, man.
I think this was like 30,000 to 50,000, something like it was a good number of Vietnamese people who have been recruited to work in these factories.
Okay.
France at this time, people say, "Oh, France is soft. Oh, they're a bunch of bitches." No, these niggas just never recovered from what happened in World War I. They just did not. If you doubt a French sincerity and hardness, I don't.
I don't encourage you to watch Les Mis. All right.
Okay. No.
That shit is popping. Let's not lie.
Verdun, in terms of a World War I battle, any battle, I think is the scariest place to ever exist as a human being.
Oh yeah, fuck yeah, brutal.
Like 1917, I think it's 1917 particularly. the French are having like open rebellions of their armed troops where they don't even want to fucking. They're like, we're not going. Like people are saying, we're not going. We're not going over we're not going over the fronts no more. We're not going over the trench. We're not doing that.
Man.
Fucking, there's strikes in their fucking factories. Yeah. It's a fucking mess. So what comes out of that is kind of the kind of socialism, social activism.
Yep. Well, they had a pretty long history, or at least I think like one of the first communist revolutions was in France in like the late 1840s. So it makes sense that their people are like, yeah, fuck this, we're not doing this.
Yeah, this is just a particularly bad time for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the heart of like the communism, a lot of the Karl Marx stuff, it may have started in Germany, but a lot of it happened in
France. Popped over.
So going back to like the kind of the group of Annamite patriots, the group of Vietnamese patriots, they were like they were kind of pursuing stuff at Versailles, and they were trying to because this is the time like when Woodrow Wilson was like kind of saying, hey man, everybody should have the right to self-determination and shit, even though like he's a incredible racist at home, which is like it's insane, but they're gonna get ignored. But Ho Chi Minh becomes the face of the organization, and here's why. They're publishing a lot of stuff under this name, When I Cook, and Henry wants me to say it as When I what? Quack. That Quack. I feel like gets me way too close to a slur that I'm not gonna play that game.
Quack.
I'm not gonna play that game with.
You got to hit the Q.
I'm not good enough to hit the Q. I don't want to hit anything. I don't want to hit anything.
You know.
So when I cook, that's his name for me.
All right. Okay. Fair enough.
So When I Cook is the name they're publishing all this stuff under. But you know, Ho Chi Minh or Nguyen Tat Tran at this point he's the person delivering it. So he becomes he's like handing all the stuff out. So he becomes the symbolic face of it. So people start to know him as When I Cook. And When I Cook in Vietnamese means When the Patriot.
All right.
The Nguyen dynasty being the last great ruler.
So he might not have written any of them. He's just the one handing them over to the publisher. Like, hey, some other people wrote these.
He's not random to the publisher. He's handing them out.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, he's
like barking for Vietnamese civil rights.
Yeah, and he's handing them out, and he's going up to Versailles and like giving them. Like he's the fucking, you know what I mean? He became the public face of it.
Man, they should have a drink special. They might have.
Yeah, no, it's fucked. It's
might have gone further. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it went. It went like it. It got recognition, and that's the recognition it got. Well, a lot of it was from the Sûreté, which is the French security force. Like,
okay, we'll take one of these. You know, there's some good stuff in here. Yeah. All right.
You When I Cook. Okay, that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Good to meet you, man. Yeah.
So at this point, they're like just asking for that self-determination, and when I cook now. Ho Chi Minh,
our hero, right?
Our hero becomes okay. I don't want to. My granddad did fight in Vietnam, so the guy.
Yep.
He's just living in Paris. He becomes like he kind of starts getting more into communism and like kind of getting involved with the French Communist Party, and I think he becomes a representative of the Congrès des Tours of the Socialist Party of France, and he like voted in the Third International, and was a founding member of the French Communist Party. Sorry,
damn, okay,
yeah, like any
okay, so well, I guess it's the French Communist Party, which is kind of like a fringe group, which is why you would be okay with like a foreigner helping to co-found.
He's not
your party.
A foreigner. He wasn't like a vocal member. You know what I mean?
Oh, all right.
You know what I mean? He wasn't the most vocal nigga of all time. He was more about like the colonial question. So
Yeah.
he was
Okay.
always
All
kind
right.
of
All right.
leaning to shit. Like he would be in there, be like, no, we need to talk about colonialism.
But what about
Yeah, well,
colonialism, guys?
what
Yeah.
about your
Okay. Yeah.
colonies? Like,
Yep.
you know what I mean?
Yep. Yep.
Like you talking all this shit about like the workers need more. Like,
Liberation of the underclasses, and
yeah.
it's like, what about the underclasses that you're enslaving elsewhere?
What about
Let's
the
talk about
underclasses
those.
so under that they're not even here?
You don't even see them, man. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? He was
The fringe of the fringe.
constantly trying to draw attention to that question. He starts he founds one like the first like international societies of like French colonies and colonial questions.
Cool.
And like it all breaks up because of petty political stuff,
bullshit,
petty bantering and
ego
shit. Always
and
does.
yep.
So so he's doing that. He has his own paper that's pretty shit, but he's handing it out to like Vietnamese kind of people on the street, to Vietnamese kind of workers, and he's trying to build awareness about Vietnam as a colonial space and as a colonial state and what that is like. And he's getting some attention, but a lot of that attention is coming from the Sûreté, the French security force, and they're on his ass. They're on his ass. They're on his ass at all times. They pull him in for questioning. He is questioned by like some of like the head colonial people like in the French government, just like asking, because all that work that the other people may have done is now being attributed to him.
Okay.
Because he's the public face of it.
Yeah.
But he's also still doing a lot of work. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's pretty cool. I mean, it's cool to know that they're like scared of him.
They question it. They're like, yeah, and this is gonna be around, this is like 1920-ish. He hasn't been home in like 9 years. 9 years, 9 years.
I mean, how many siblings did he had? Like
I think three or four. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I thought it was more. His dad's just drinking and not really.
His dad drinking. His dad dies. Sometime I think it's 19. His dad dies, but I think his dad's dead by now. From my understanding,
shit.
I might be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure he is.
I feel like an asshole. So.
Yeah, no, what a dick! What a dick you are. So something happens, right? Right around 1920, that's very impactful on his life. It's going to be that Lenin like drafts the thesis on the national and colonial questions. Yep. And this is a big deal to him because it kind of lays out a kind of two-step ideology on how we're going to get rid of how we're going to come to a communist revolution in the colonial era, area.
Really, two steps. That's all. That's all it takes.
It's one
1-2 punch.
It's a 1-2 punch.
Boom, boom.
It basically is saying like, hey, you're allowed to work with the bourgeois, all those people who are seeking nationalism, and then once you do that, you can then ferment the communist revolution, because then the problems will be more strengthened in the way that people look at them. They'd be like, well, okay, it was colonialism, but then also like it's now they're still gone, but there's still a boss over me.
There's a class mentality. Yeah. Okay. All right. So no longer lumping, right? Yeah. There we go.
No longer lumping, because now you see, oh no, this motherfucker is
just as bad as the foreigners who were exploiting me. This guy's doing the same thing.
Maybe a little less bad. A little less bad because they didn't even speak the language and they were dicks. But like, you know what I mean? But still bad.
Like, still awful. I still need to overthrow this guy.
Or worse, like it. Then we can have that conversation once we. And it's all right to like kind of pair with like petty bourgeois people, like kind of scholarly people, scholarly gentry people, which is the class that when I could come from, was a scholarly gentry, because his dad was a Confucian scholar. Yeah. So at this time, right, like his article and speech, it's caught the attention of the Sûreté, but they also caught the attention of Dmitry Manuinsky, who would soon sponsor his trip to the Soviet Union, and under whose tutelage, like now Ho Chi, later times known as Ho Chi Minh, Winston Kung. This is how many names he's had by now. Winston Kung.
Is he still Guok?
Who then turned into Win Tat Tran, who then is now When I Cook. Now he's gonna go to Russia.
Okay.
in 1923, and he's gonna work under Dmitry Manuinsky, who's like an important Bolshevik revolutionary who was the secretary of the Comintern, the Communist International. Communist International being the international organization based out of the USSR that
Exporting the revolution.
advocated world communism.
Okay.
So
Cool.
so he goes to Russia under carrying a passport under the name Chen Vang, a rich Chinese merchant. So this is not the end of these names.
No, he just keeps going with them. He just keeps pulling out of his hat. Like,
and if you
like,
think
who do I want to be
bad,
today? You know,
you think it's bad now? Wait till he gets fucking Russian spy training. Like,
does he get a Russian name
at
some point? That would be really cool.
Leninsky. It's like Leninsky or some shit like
Leninsky.
that.
Oh,
yeah, that's what they call him in Russian.
Leninsky. Okay.
It's
He must have spoke some Russian. God damn, this man.
He did speak Russian.
A bunch. So he's speaking Vietnamese, French, English, Cantonese, Russian.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus.
Yeah. No, it is worldwide man of international mystery. I think it's.
I barely speak Spanish. You know what I mean? And this guy's like 5 languages at 25. That's insane.
I remember them calling him Leninsky.
That's crazy.
I want to say Leninsky. I'm just trying to think if they actually called him Leninsky. Yeah, I remember that from the book.
Was Lenin cool with that, or was Lenin like, "Oh, I'm dying. I don't really care." Like, I don't know
when Lenin dies.
He died in I think he died in 24.
Yeah, so it's right around this time.
So he must.
They might have. Wait, let me just be correct on that. I know they called him Lin, but I don't think it would be that hard for him to jump to Linsky. Yeah. But all right.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
But all right. So he's like he liked to focus on he was there basically to promote the colonial question. That's his whole bag. His whole thing is promoting the colonial question and asking the colonial question. But here's the thing. Vietnam has a weird makeup where it's like 10% of the people live in the city. 90% of the people lived in a rural space. And the weird thing about communism at this time is they're super focused on the urban proletariat, because this is something that we talked about with Mao, where like the urban proletariat are the people because they're the people, because for some reason people think of the rural as being lumpen. Well, this kind of book kind of cleared it up. William J. Duker, I don't know how you spell that name, Duker, Ho Chi Minh, A Life. A lot of the people in early communism thought that the rural people, the rural peasants were lumpen, is because they still were attached to the idea of private ownership of the land, like small private ownership. And whereas in the city, you don't have that idea.
Yeah.
You live off rent.
Man, all you have to do is give them a 6x4 private lot on this feudal farm so they can grow.
And you make it theirs.
Onions? I don't know.
Yeah. No, you make it theirs, and
they're happy with it because at least you've given them something, and that's enough to pacify.
That's an ideal, and that's an ideal that you see. And I think his name is Levitt, Charles Levitt. I know his name is Levitt, the guy who invented Levittown, which is the first suburb in the United States. And his idea was that if you give people a small piece of land to own, then they will not become communist.
No, it's like, well, why would I rise up against the man who gave me this 4x6 plot of land? Because you could have a much larger plot of land. If you just recognize where your true self-interest was, you could have it much better than what you do.
Because people now identify with the landowner because they think of
they think of themselves as the landowner because they own a
they own a small
piece of land. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, even though the critique might be about a large, but that's a whole different thing.
It's goddamn diabolical, man.
Yeah. No, people are thinking. A lot of people aren't, but there's a lot of people who actually are.
Okay.
So he attended the fifth Comintern Congress of the Communist International, where he advocated for talking about the colonial question. And then after that, in November of 1924, he went to Canton under using the name Laithoi. Just another
Laithoi.
name, yeah. Working as a journalist for, I think, a kind of a socialist or Bolshevist
That is
newspaper.
the nope, nope,
Yep,
nope, 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 nope,
yep.
nope.
And
Those are
then,
spies. Journalists are spies.
yeah,
Very
no, no,
common cover. He's like, I'm
yeah.
a journalist.
I'm
Like,
a
oh,
journalist.
okay. So
I'm
you
just
write
a
down what
journalist.
you see over here
Yeah.
and report back to your home base. All right. Okay. Cool.
So he goes there and and he stays with our boy, and he's in Canton
Uh-huh.
in 1924. So he stays with our boy Mikhail Borodin
Cool.
from
Yep.
Mao era stuff.
Whampoa.
And this is going to be involved.
AKA Hitler stash before Hitler, right?
Yeah, he is like involved in the whole like Kuomintang left organization. He's
All
around
right.
all that shit where he's meeting Chow En Lai. He basically he's like giving socialist lectures on to Vietnamese people, Vietnamese revolutionary young people.
So
In
he's
Canton.
against colonialism in all its forms. He's almost more of a Maoist than Mao.
No, Mao wrote the book on being a Maoist, so you can shut
Did he?
the fuck up.
I don't know, man.
No. His whole thing. I think on second episode we're gonna kind of touch more on that because I left a little bit of room for like, but it's a whole thing. It's
Okay,
I've
cool.
kind of grew some critiques.
All right.
So, and this is all taking place at the Whampoa Military Academy or around the Whampoa Military Academy, and around Kuomintang. Trained revolutionaries, and he was big on like mind, like the hearts and mind doctrine before it was called that.
What the fuck is that?
Like where you're like, we gotta go in there, you gotta pacify the hearts and minds. You have to win people over. So like he was always telling like any type of guerrilla units or any type of revolutionaries, look, you have to treat the people really nicely. You have to be the people's friend. You have to do whatever for the people. You have to live for the people. You can't fucking go in here and fucking be savages, kicking ass, like, because that doesn't work. That makes everybody hate you. And also, I think he was informed by.
You need the public on your side.
He's also informed by the Confucius teachings, like of like kind of taking care of the poor and all that type of stuff.
When you first said it, I don't know what I was thinking when you first said hearts and minds doctrine, and I thought it would be dumber than it was.
No, it's just that.
It just makes sense.
Kind of glancing over Confucianism, and this is something that in Mao, I wish I kind of gotten down. A lot of the Confucius principles and teachings are basically communism. If you the way it sets up society under like the kind of the Confucius like template for society is a very communist society. It's more about it's kind of a technocracy in that. Mencius, Confucius's like follower, the person after Confucius, said like when talking to a king, talking about his wants and needs with the king, like the king's wants and needs, he talked about first comes the wants and needs of the people, then come the wants and needs of the state or the apparatus, and then third comes the wants and needs of the king. Like kind of saying putting the people first is kind of always this ideal. So Confucianism, that's why I think a lot of the Far East Asia or East Asia fell very rapidly to communism because the mold was already there.
They had almost believed it the whole time.
Yeah.
They just knew it under a different name.
Yeah. So moving on, Ho Chi Minh at this time going secretly under the name Laithoi marries Tang Tuyet Minh. It's kind of like a weird marriage. He just kind of wanted somebody. I think there's like a kid. It's not sure. Like from what in the book, it wasn't like, man, they're kind of in love. You know what I mean? But he was just older and she was younger.
But they met in China, or is he back in Vietnam?
This is still in Canton. It's still in China around Guangzhou.
And she's also Vietnamese, but also in China. I guess it's not.
I think she was Chinese. She was Chinese. So what happened in 1927 is Chiang Kaishek kind of does his anti-communist coup, and that changes it's like the catalyst for a lot of change in terms of like the way the Comintern talks about working with bourgeois people. Because they were working with bourgeois people. Sun Yat-sen dies from like a heart attack or some shit.
Sun Yat-sen was like a pragmatist, from what I understand.
He's a pragmatist.
He's just trying to make it work.
He fucking dies. Now you're working with that bourgeois elite, and then
Hmm.
they fucking decide to massacre communists in
Yeah.
the fucking streets.
The
So
bourgeois elite tells you, oh yeah, it'd be really cool if you killed all of the other communists out there.
like the Comintern line on this becomes like a lot different, where they're like, yeah, don't work with everybody, and it becomes
Yeah,
like
no,
more
no, no,
conciliatory.
no.
You know what I
Yep.
mean? So this time he like leaves Canton. He goes to Moscow. Then he like spends some of the summer recuperating from tuberculosis in the Crimea. Then it goes to Paris, and then it basically comes all the way back around to ends up in Bangkok, Thailand, in like July 1928, and he's basically organizing, basically on the border of like in Thailand or in Siam at that point. That's what it's called, organizing Vietnamese people in like Vietnamese populations up there, like right outside
Okay.
of Vietnam.
All right.
There's some things about him having some affiliation and setting up and being one of the founding members of like the Siamese Communist Party, working a lot with like the Malaysian Communist Party, because he is not only at this point Laithoi, the fucking journalist, or
Uh-huh.
he's a communist agent. He's not only
Yeah, no, he's got the creds. Like
the
he's
Comintern
been
agent.
to Russia.
Yeah,
He's met some of the top guys
yeah.
over there.
Vietnamese,
He's put in his dues, you
true,
know?
true. Vietnamese revolutionary, 50%. At this point, I think 30%, 40%,
Okay.
60% Comintern agent. In his heart,
Yeah.
he's all Vietnamese revolutionary,
Yeah, yeah.
but he still has a job. They give him money.
Yeah.
He's writing to like the Comintern in Shanghai, or when they moved to Vladivostok in Russia, he's
Yeah.
writing letters to them like, "Yo, I haven't received my salary. Haven't received." Like it's
What are you guys doing?
yeah.
And Russia doesn't have the heart to tell him that in the late 20s is like, dude, we're broke. Like, we wish we could pay you. All right. You're doing great work, but we have no money.
So this whole time he's kind of organizing like Vietnamese revolutionaries from outside of Vietnam, kind of working tacitly with the party. And he goes back to Hong Kong in 1930, where he chaired like kind of a meeting between the representatives of two communist parties. They kind of split.
All right.
Two Vietnamese communist parties that split, and he merged them together as a unified organization known as the Communist Party of Vietnam. They had to change their name, and this is kind of how like the Comintern has like a control of everything at this time, is where they had to change it to the Indonesian or the Indochina Communist Party, because they're like, well, we're trying to ferment,
Oh.
like it's not just about Vietnam, it's about Laos,
It's
it's
not
about
just
Cambodia.
Vietnam. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
like
all right.
so he gets arrested in Hong Kong, and this is the LaFranc story about how the fucking communists were sending like this guy around who was like carrying messages named LaFranc, and he was working for like a Pan Pacific Trade Union or some shit like that. And it's this white dude's going around. He meets Ho Chi Minh. He meets fucking some other people. I think he meets Tran Phu, which is the leader of the Vietnamese Communist Party at this time. And he's meeting all these people, and he goes fucking and gets arrested in fucking in Singapore, and
Okay.
fucking that has all the letters that he was writing to all these people. He hadn't destroyed any of them, so he has letters from fucking
God
Ho
damn
Chi
it.
Minh, and gets Ho Chi Minh arrested in Hong Kong. Ho Chi
God
Minh
damn
ends
it.
up in
This guy
jail.
just really shit the bed.
Yeah, well, I was
He
thinking
just
LaFranc as like just to do with the mustard stains. It's just like, I'm just
Mhm.
fucking going around killing,
Yep.
fucking like a jackass. Gets Ho Chi Minh arrested. Ho Chi Minh ends up in prison. He's in prison he's in prison kind of like in Hong Kong. There's like this whole thing where like the French know now that this is When I Cook. People can trace it. So the Sûreté is like trying to get him out of prison and get him exported back to Vietnam, where there was a trial that already said that they were going to execute him.
Okay. Cool.
They had a trial in absentia where he wasn't there.
Yep. That's the best kind, you know?
Yeah, where you can't defend yourself.
We can't defend yourself at all. You're just like, yeah, fuck it.
So kind of the British like the French tried to pressure for extradition. He was actually reported as dead in 1932, and then the British like quietly released him in 1933. He moved to the Soviet Union, And then
Damn, if that doesn't go to show you how deep
Yeah.
the beef runs between
Yeah.
Great Britain and France, that is,
They
oh,
were
you want
like,
this guy extradited? Oh yeah, he's dead. Don't
their
worry
whole
about it.
thing
And they're
was
just
like,
you can go.
they did have like, because all these countries at this time, they have like leftist people within them. They have their own
Yeah.
socialist people within them who are just
Yeah.
like, you can't give this guy the French because they'll just execute him.
Uh-huh.
So he goes to Moscow, and he stays there. He gets there in 33, right? He stays there for like 4 or 5 years, and he's teaching at the Lenin Institute, and he's
Damn.
studying at the Lenin Institute. He's like, there's this thing called the Stalin School where they're training Eastern European, like not Eastern European, Eastern Asian revolutionaries. I think they're training other revolutionaries there, but there are a lot of people coming through there, and he's teaching there, and they're all leaving, but he's not. Well, it's because the Russians, the Soviets, they don't trust him because they don't know what happened in that jail to get you released so quickly. One, and then also this is 1930, so 1934. This is when the Great Purge is happening. Oh, and Mikhail Borodin, our homeboy, where Ho Chi Minh has stayed in his fucking in his house in Canton in 1924. Mikhail Borodin's clapped. He's done. They killed him during this.
They kill him?
I think they
during the purge? God damn it, man. He was I'm pretty sure he gets killed. Okay.
So all these people getting killed, the purge is happening. And the purge is happening because Kirov, which is Stalin's like kind of rival, like
Stalin thought everybody was a rival. Let's be real. He was
he gets clapped. Kirov gets clapped. Yeah, no, Stalin thinks everybody's a fucking rival.
Yep.
There's a whole thing with Mao and Stalin.
Stalin will not feel safe until every other human being is dead. Okay.
Exactly. So the whole Kirov situation, they don't trust Ho Chi Minh. So he's just sitting there. He's rotting away. He's just like, dude, I need to get back.
Don't they still owe him money? Did they ever settle his debt?
You're gonna ask during the Great Purge, can I get my cash? Can I get my back pay? You gotta let that ride. You know what I mean?
Very true. Yeah, you kind of just let it. You kind of drop it.
and there's kind of competing reports. Was he what happened? Was anything severe happen to him? Was he put on trial? And some people say yes, some people say no. It's the whole thing.
Okay.
So in 1938, he finally gets allowed to leave, and he returns to China. But they send him to China to as an observer of CCP functions. And
you mean to tell me they don't trust Mao?
No, they don't. Why would you? Jesus Christ. So he gets sent to southern China, and he works as an officer in a unit in southern China, and just observing things and learning things. He already kind of learned from the CCP earlier, and and this is where he's like a sanitation officer or a cleanliness officer or some shit. And he's just and it's a funny story about this time is one of they're just chatting. A couple officers are chatting, and one of them is he's chatting with this officer named Ho Kwang, which is what Ho Chi Minh is going by now. This is his 7th name. I just want to put that.
Okay. Ho Kwang.
Ho Kwang. So he's like, what's up? He kind of critiques Ho Kwang, and everybody's laughing. It's fun. It's all right. Nothing happens. The next day, a higher up official comes from the CCP, and it's like, I heard you were critiquing Ho Kwang. What's the issue? And then that person was like, oh no, Ho Kwang has some connections, or there's something crazy going on with Ho Kwang.
Yeah. I mean, you never want to criticize a dude who works sanitation, who claims to work sanitation. It's always
it's some shit like
pretty
that.
Good pretext that generally means I kill people for money. You know, that's kind of where that. Yeah, it's usually where that's headed.
I know it's sanitation, or it's something with cleanliness. It's like a fucking, which is still a weird thing to be.
Yeah.
So Ho Chi Minh finally returns to Vietnam in 1941. I'm pretty sure 41. I think on that date. And he starts to lead the Viet Minh independence movement.
Damn. So this is like a long track home.
Yeah.
Basic. Okay.
He stays in China for a bit. I
Yeah.
think it's 1940 that he returns. No, this is something I'm not sure about this one. So he's like 1938, and then like they're building up, and he's
Yeah.
like basically monitoring it from China, and then he finally he's monitoring it from China. He finally goes into Vietnam, and they're like right on the border of Vietnam and China, and this is where they're building a fucking a kind of a revolutionary base, a little bit that way. He's like teaching out of a cave. It's like this. These are the moments like that people talk about,
like the Sith Masters. Very,
yeah.
very
this
cool.
is like some Vietnamese Communist Party like mythos shit, like the 1940 days when they're just kind of prepping for a revolution. They're prepping.
Okay.
They're prepping.
Cool.
They're laying out the steps for a revolution. So during this time, they're fighting the Japanese occupation, and they're resisting Vichy France because France got taken over by the Nazis. So this is like a Vichy French occupation.
So it's like three front. Like they're fighting the France and Japanese.
Yeah, those two. Yeah, they're not. They're fighting. I think the French and the Japanese.
I guess they'd
kind
be
of
the
allied.
third party.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They're kind of allied because it's Vichy France. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah. I get it. Yeah.
So this is where they start, like around 19. So let me first state this. He gets jailed by China, like because he's traveling under fake papers. And this is
who'd have thought the guy with seven names would become suspect to these guys? Okay.
He finally he gets jailed, and this is where this is when he was going by the name Ho Chi Minh, and this was also I think he was going as a reporter during this time also. Ho Chi Minh, which means he who enlightens in China, I think in Chinese. So
okay, cool.
So
I mean, somebody's got quite a high opinion of themselves, but also
I don't know if he gets this name because I've read conflicting reports that either there's the general that gives him this name, the Chinese general that gives him this name, or he gives his name to himself. Either way, he's arrested with that name. That's kind of the name that people get to know him by. This is when he becomes Ho Chi Minh.
Okay.
Fucking Ho Chi Minh does that. So Ho Chi Minh gets arrested, is released by like a kind of a friendly kind of communist nationalist general. Then in 1944, on November 11th, 1944, Lieutenant Randolph Shaw is like this guy, an American pilot, is facing like engine trouble on a reconnaissance flight over northern Vietnam. And he like goes down, parachutes out, and then he gets saved. He's like kind of like some Vietnamese. Like the Viet Minh find him, and then they bring him, and he just trying to speak English to everybody, and then there's this guy who shows up. He looks kind of older, and the guy speaks perfect English. Like the guy was like, I thought I was talking to my fucking father, and that guy is Ho Chi Minh.
Whoa,
that's it. He speaks perfect English.
Man,
so
okay.
So they say that.
Hey, I got a few sausages out on the barbecue. If you feel like having a few, popping a few brewskis, huh?
I found my dad.
See the game? Game was pretty good last night.
Like,
what do you think about that, Sonny? Like,
that good.
Jesus.
So they bring them to kind of the U.S. Air Force base and U.S. Army Air Force base at the time in China, and they're kind of negotiating with the like OSS to like, hey,
all right,
any down flyers, we'll bring them here. Can you guys give us like some radios and stuff, and we'll kind of report because we want to work with you because Americans are partial to like independence movements. At this time, they're not they're not with colonial shit. Even though they do colonial shit, they're just not with it as an idea.
So they claim like, you want to launch an independent guerrilla warfare movement like we did so long ago? Yeah. So they're like, so there's kind of understanding, like people in the OSS are like, oh, okay, yeah. So they're kind of having an inter-trade and like a mutual relationship, which is going to continue for a little bit when we get to part 2. For those who don't know, OSS is the CIA before it was called the CIA, which is why this is so weird.
Yeah. So the CIA basically, the agent is Archimedes Paty, who's like, and that's the guy that Ho Chi Minh is specifically working with.
Okay.
So they're working with the CIA. The CIA is like weird about them providing weapons to them because because they're hearing that they're communist, but that's not a big deal yet.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
One thing,
yeah.
kind of, I want to go back and make this firmly known. That whole thing about not working with the bourgeois elites, the ferment your communist revolution, goes out the door when like the Nazis start rising up. So to defeat fascism, that the Comintern line becomes now, hey, you can work with the bourgeois,
whoever. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's a larger threat, and that is fascism.
Yeah.
We need to reorient.
Yeah, as long as you can kind of do your thing and they're not fucking actively attacking you, you can work with whoever. So this is kind of the state. Like they're working with the CIA. It's 1945, and things that should like there are CIA teams dropping into North Vietnam. Kind of, you know what I mean? It's a whole thing. They have a relationship. So in on August 14th of 1945, kind of seizing the time, the Viet Minh, they launched the August Revolution. And within 2 weeks, forces from the Viet Minh seized control of most of the rural villages and cities throughout North, Center, and South Vietnam, including Hanoi. And then President Ho Chi Minh was announced, and he announced the formation of the Provisional Democratic Republic of Vietnam.
Damn.
The emperor Bao Dai abdicated his throne, and because the emperor used to rule like Annam, he used to rule like the middle portion, and then but it was all kind of under the French rule. And Ho Chi Minh convinced him to like abdicate his throne, and then.
Is this like the last emperor of Vietnam?
This would be the last.
Times have changed. Fuck it, I can't keep this up.
This will be the last. There's a whole thing with like there's the emperor, and then like the French will kind of like it's a whole thing.
Try to prop somebody else up.
Yeah, it's a lot. So Ho Chi Minh's repeatedly like asking, like petitioning Truman for like support, like to recognize the Vietnamese independence movement, citing the Atlantic Charter.
Good fucking luck.
Yeah, he's citing the Atlantic Charter, and Truman never responds. And
just left that shit on red, you know, like all right,
never responds. And so now they're a moderate government. A lot of stuff that they put in at this time, very fucking moderate. It's very moderate shit because they're playing the game of like, we don't really have a communist ally anywhere.
Yeah.
Even though they are communists, they're just playing this game. So kind of setting the stage for the next episode. This is where we're at. The CIA is kind of working with this Northern Vietnamese government. Potsdam conference happens, which like kind of declares how Indochina will be split. The British will come and take everything south of the 16th parallel. The nationalist Chinese northern and take everything north of the 16th parallel. With the northern Chinese government comes the fucking all the anti-communist nationalist Vietnamese organizations are going to come in from China because they've just been waiting in China.
I mean, something tells me is that Ho Chi Minh's government was not consulted on the terms of Potsdam.
And then all throughout the country, they're in Hanoi and particularly in all throughout the country, there are French citizens. So France is still like in healthy French European populations in Hanoi, in Saigon. So France still has an interest of like, we're going to come in and we need our citizens, but France also wants to recolonize the things that lost.
Yeah.
So all of that's happening.
Mm-hmm. So you got British.
Yeah.
You got Britain. You got France.
Yeah.
You have America.
Yeah.
But kind of in the backgrounds.
Yeah.
China.
Yeah.
And then Ho Chi Minh and his boys.
Ho Chi Minh and the Viet Minh.
Okay.
We're going to see how this one's going to play out on the next episode.
It sounds messy, to say the least.
It's going to get messy. It's going to get I bet you, it's going to get very messy. guys, we want to thank you for listening. Want to run the social media by you guys. Please follow us and like us and subscribe to us on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you find us. You can also find us on Instagram at Joshua B. Shit. You can also find us on Instagram at Hard Fight History. You can find us on Facebook at Hard Fight History. You can find us on Twitter at HFH Podcast. Henry, what's your social media?
You can find me Henry E. Price on Instagram, just Henry Price on Facebook, where you get to hear more of my incessant bullshit. Huh? What do you think?
I don't know. I don't. You can hear me. You can find me at Joshua B. Stokes on Instagram and Twitter. Also Joshua Stokes on Facebook. Thank you guys for listening. Also find us on YouTube.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you guys for listening.
Also, I'm sorry. I just gotta mention this. Every time we try to boost a goddamn advertisement,
it's the whole thing
on Instagram.
I don't understand why
they fucking reject it. They flag this shit. They say that we cannot promote this because it violates their guidelines.
Okay,
for some reason.
We're running long here, Henry. We don't have time for this argument. Okay,
that's crazy.
Okay, guys.
What are they doing?
We'll talk to you next time. We love you. All right.